I'm Jezreel from the Customer Success Team at Consultare Inc. Group. Last week, we discussed the Logo Use Program as outlined in FSSC 22000 version 6, clause 2.5.5, which governs the proper and authorized use of the FSSC logo across certified organizations. Today, we'll move on to clause 2.5.6, Allergen Management Program, which also falls under the additional requirements of FSSC 22000 version 6. This program emphasizes the importance of establishing a systematic approach to identifying, assessing, and controlling allergens throughout the entire food production and handling process. It requires organizations to evaluate all potential sources of allergen cross-contact, from raw material receipt and storage to processing, packaging, and labeling, and to implement effective control measures to minimize the risk of an unintentional allergen presence in finished products. Understanding and implementing this requirement enables organizations to safeguard consumers with food allergies, ensure compliance with regulatory and customer-specific requirements, and uphold the integrity of their food safety management system. By the way, this free training session is sponsored by Consultare Inc. Group, a compliance company. Founded in 2007, we began by assisting businesses with U.S. import and export compliance and have since evolved into a global provider of food safety, quality, and certification support. Today, our services revolve around compliance management software, specialized training, and end-to-end support services that help organizations achieve and maintain compliance with international standards. Through our platform, interlinkiq.com, we offer an integrated compliance management system that streamlines documentation, monitoring, and audit readiness. We also provide dedicated compliance and certification support programs for FSVP, PCQI, SQF, BRCGS, FSSC 22000, ISO 9001, GMP, and HACCP, helping businesses strengthen the regulatory compliance, enhance operational efficiency, and ensure alignment with global food safety and quality management standards. Now let's take a look at our training schedule. This week, we will focus on the Allergen Management Program as outlined in FSSC 22000 Clause 2.5.6. Gaining a clear understanding of this requirement is essential to achieving and sustaining your FSSC 22000 certification goals. In today's session, we will begin by familiarizing ourselves with the FSSC 22000 version 6 additional requirements clause 2.5.6 Allergen Management Program. We'll start with a clear description of the requirements, followed by a walkthrough of the compliance action activities, which are scheduled tasks carried out based on scheduled frequency to ensure ongoing certification readiness. We will also discuss the importance of the annual review and internal audit activities to verify the effectiveness of the program and maintain continuous improvement. During the training, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions and clarify any requirements related to implementation. Simply type your questions in the chat box and we will address them during next week's session. And as part of this training, you can also access a free 90-day trial of our FSSC 22000 certification management software. This tool helps streamline compliance tasks, assign accountability, and keep audit-ready records. It's also a great way to prepare for FSSC 22000 certification and to get familiar with the requirements and its implementation before an official audit. And finally, upon completion of this training, each participant will receive a familiarization training certificate. To ensure that you receive your certificate, please make sure that you have filled up the free certification familiarization training sign-up form that we shared in the chat box. So on the screen, you will see a sample of the familiarization certificate that you will receive upon completing each session. With that, let's move forward to our training session, where we will be working directly with the FSSC 22000 Compliance Management System software. So let's start by going over the description of the Allergen Management Program. Please take a look at the description on the screen. The requirements is outlined here to make implementation easier. It says, the organization shall have a documented allergen management plan that includes the following elements: a list of allergens handled on site, including in raw materials and finished products; risk assessment covering all potential sources of allergen cross-contamination; identification and implementation of control measures to reduce or eliminate the risk of cross-contamination based on the risk assessment outcome. Validation and verification of control measures must be implemented and maintained as documented information. Verification testing shall be conducted at a risk-based frequency when multiple products with different allergen profiles are produced in the same area. For 1.1.5, precautionary or warning labels shall only be used when the risk assessment identifies allergen cross-contamination risk, even if all control measures are implemented. Warning labels do not replace control measures or verification testing. For 1.1.6, all personnel shall receive training in allergen awareness and specific control measures relevant to their work area. For 1.1.7, the allergen management plan shall be reviewed at least annually and after significant changes impacting food safety, recalls, withdrawals, or industry trends indicating allergen contamination. Reviews shall evaluate the effectiveness of control measures, and verification data shall be trended for input. And for 1.1.8, this is applicable for food chain category D, where no allergen-related legislation exists for the country of sale in animal feed. This requirement may be marked not applicable unless an allergen-related claim is made on the product. Now you may update or edit this description as needed, for example, to reflect revisions when new versions or editions of the FSSC 22000 are released. To implement this program, we've developed a list of action items, compliance action items in the compliance tab that helps FSQA or the food safety team leader stay organized by scheduling tasks based on their required frequency, whether they are performed on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or semi-annual basis. So you can also choose to add your own compliance activities or have our team preload the required tasks to ensure that you meet all the necessary requirements under this specific program or section. So here are some examples of your compliance action items to comply with 2.5.6 Allergen Management Program requirements. For your daily activities, this includes follow cleaning and sanitation procedures to prevent allergen cross-contamination, implement equipment and line segregation protocols, monitor allergen segregation in storage and production, conduct visual inspection during changeovers, reinforce allergen awareness during pre-shift meetings, and document any allergen-related deviations. For your weekly activities, this might include reviewing allergen control performance, conduct environmental verification testing if required, inspect label controls, review allergen training compliance, and coordinate with sanitation team. Now for your monthly activities, this might include review or reviewing supplier allergen information for accuracy and updates, conduct allergen management refresher briefings with production staff, perform internal verification testing like swab, air, or product test according to risk-based schedule, and inspect allergen signage, color coding systems, and personnel tools like utensils and containers. Now, going back to the quarterly activities, this might include reviewing and updating allergen risk assessment, conduct trend analysis of allergen verification data, validate control measures, internal audit of Allergen Management Program, and review precautionary labeling justification. For the biannual activities, conduct allergen awareness refresher training, review allergen verification and validation summary, evaluate supplier allergen declarations, conduct management review, input on allergen program, and review programs or the program after major changes or recalls. Now, to complete each of these actions, we've provided corresponding work instructions and detailed compliance activities found here in the instruction and evidence section, along with the required artifacts or records to document completion. For example, let's choose one action item and let's demonstrate how to comply this specific requirement. Now, the action item that we are going to select is the second one, implement equipment and line segregation protocol. To complete this compliance action item, let's click on the view option here for the work instruction. So to complete this action item, implement equipment and line segregation protocol, first you need to identify areas requiring segregation. So this involves conducting an assessment of production lines, equipment, and processing areas to determine where segregation is required. For example, for allergens or for raw versus RTE or ready to eat, organic versus conventional products, or halal versus non-halal. Your artifacts and records that needs to be completed are segregation risk assessment, facility layout plan, and hazard analysis worksheet. Next step is to define and document segregation protocols. So you need to develop written procedures for physical, time-based or temporal, and procedural segregation methods to prevent cross-contamination or product mix-up. So for your artifacts and record, you need a segregation procedure or SOP, a revision history log, or approval record. Next step is to implement physical segregation measures. So this includes installing physical barriers or implementing color coding on the equipment, dedicated utensils, or signage to separate materials, lines, and processes as per defined protocols. Then again, your goal here is to make sure that allergens are separated from non-allergen products or ingredients. Next step is to train personnel on segregation procedures. So the activity involved here is conducting training for operators, sanitation, and maintenance teams on segregation controls, including cleaning, validation, and product changeover steps. So your artifacts and records involved in this step are your training attendance sheet, training materials, and knowledge check results. Next step is to verify line changeover and cleaning effectiveness. So this is especially important when you have multiple products manufactured inside a facility where there are products containing allergen and non-allergen. So you need to make sure that the changeover is effective. So this can be done by validating cleaning and changeover procedures between segregated lines to ensure that no carryover or cross contact occurs. So the artifacts and records are your cleaning validation records, ATP or allergen swab results, and verification checklist. Next is label and identify segregated equipment. So this can be done by using color coding or labeling to clearly identify dedicated tools, utensils, and equipment specific to certain products or zones. You need to complete the equipment identification log, labeling verification checklist, or a photo evidence of your color coding or labeling procedure. Next is to monitor and inspect segregation controls. So this involves conducting routine inspections to ensure segregation barriers, markings, and equipment designations remain intact and functional. Next step is to address deviations or cross-contact incidents. So you need to record and investigate any breach or breach of segregation protocols, identify root causes, and implement corrective action. You need to complete the nonconformance report, corrective action record, or incident investigation form. And then review and update segregation protocols periodically. So this is done by reassessing and revising segregation protocols during product line changes, process modifications, or after internal or external audits. Your artifacts and records here includes protocol review lag, updated SOPs, and management review input. And finally, you need to report segregation effectiveness during management review. So you need to present segregation program performance, incidents, and improvement actions during the annual management review meetings. So the artifacts and records included in this step are your management review minutes, trend analysis report, or performance summary. Now, when you've completed or performed these action items, you need to perform tasks to complete each action or provide supporting evidence of compliance by either uploading records, artifacts, or logs or checklist indicating compliance with the requirements. So for the same action item, implement equipment and line segregation protocol. In this case, we can use a sample document, which is equipment and line segregation record. Let's take a look at this document. So this record um, shows or demonstrates compliance with Allergen Management Program, specifically the requirement to implement equipment and line segregation protocols. So it shows that the facility has established and verified controls to manage allergens such as milk, soy, wheat, egg, tree nuts, and peanuts. Segregation measures include dedicated mixing lines for milk and soy. This is in the form of physical segregation or scheduled production runs in the packaging area for wheat, which is under temporal segregation, and color-coded tools and conveyor belts for egg products or equipment segregation. So QA and QC personnel conducted these inspections, swab tests, and verification checks to confirm compliance with corrective actions taken and recorded as needed. So overall, this record provides evidence that allergen management controls are properly implemented, monitored, and maintained to prevent cross-contact and ensure consumer safety and regulatory compliance. So your goal is to perform all of these compliance action items according to their scheduled frequency by performing all the work instructions and providing evidence of compliance to ensure that your facility, processes, or documentation remains fully audited. Once again, these are simply examples of compliance best practices that you can adapt in your facility and in your process. You may also customize or develop your own action items tailored to your specific processes. Next, let's go over to the annual review tab, which also serve as a gap assessment tool and internal audit checklist. Here you'll find the annual review items that should be maintained with to comply with FSSC 22000 2.5.6 management of allergens or allergen management program. So here are some examples of assessment questions that you need to consider for your annual review. First, is there a documented allergen management plan in place? Does the plan include a complete list of allergens handled on site? Are raw materials, ingredients, and finished products reviewed for allergen content? Has an allergen risk assessment been conducted and documented? Are control measures established to prevent allergen cross-contact? Are allergens segregated during receiving, storage, and production? Are dedicated utensils, tools, or containers used for allergen handling? Are production schedules designed to minimize allergen changeovers? Are cleaning and sanitation procedures validated for allergen removal? Are cleaning verifications performed after allergen changeovers? Are allergen labels verified before product release? Are product labels accurate and compliant with allergen declaration requirements? Are supplier allergen declarations reviewed and maintained? Is there a procedure to update allergen information when supplier ingredients change? Are employees trained on allergen awareness and handling procedures? Is allergen training provided to all relevant staff at least annually? Are contractors and visitors informed about allergen control requirements? Are internal audits conducted to verify allergen control compliance? Is the allergen management plan reviewed at least once per year? Are corrective actions implemented for allergen-related nonconformances or complaints? Are allergen verification and validation records maintained? Is allergen performance discussed during management review meetings? Does management allocate adequate resources to maintain allergen control measures? Are there clear responsibilities assigned for allergen management oversight? And are allergen risk assessments updated when new products or ingredients are introduced? So just like in the compliance tab, you can also add work instructions or compliance activities which serve as your guide on how to comply with each of these assessment questions and specify the artifacts or forms that will serve as evidence of compliance. So for example, to complete one assessment item, let's pick the third one, are raw materials, ingredients, and finished products reviewed for allergen content? So let's check the work instruction. So this involves reviewing of all incoming raw materials and ingredients, compiling the master allergen list, validate supplier information, identify allergen presence in product formulations, confirm allergen locations within the facility, review and approve the allergen list, communicate the allergen list to all departments, and review and update the allergen list regularly. So that's detailed activity or steps is also highlighted here along with the corresponding artifact or record that needs to be provided as evidence of compliance for this specific action. Now to demonstrate compliance for this annual review item, um, same as the compliance tab, you also need to upload supporting evidence such as records, logs, or other relevant documentation that verifies the activity has been completed and meet the required standards. So for this assessment question, are raw materials, ingredients, and finished products reviewed for allergen content? Let's check sample evidence of compliance to comply with this requirement. So in this case, we've uploaded allergen content review, raw materials, ingredients, and finished products. So this record shows that the facility maintains an active allergen management system through the regular review of raw materials, ingredients, and finished products for allergen content. So it documents that QA and QC personnel verify allergen information whenever new suppliers are added, formulations are updated, or labels are revised. For example, when a new batch of wheat flour from, um, let's say, Baker's Choice company here was introduced, the QA team reviewed the updated supplier label and confirmed that wheat, which contains gluten, which is an allergen, remained a declared allergen. So the allergen register and internal product labels were promptly updated to reflect this verification. Overall, this record provides evidence that allergen declarations are accurate and current, supplier information is properly validated, and controls are effectively implemented to prevent undeclared allergens and ensure consumer safety. Then again, this is just an example of the compliance documents that you need to provide to comply with the requirements. Your goal is to complete all these annual review items to keep your site fully prepared for both internal and external FSSC 22000 certification audits.